how to confidently navigate your first year as a real estate agent and becoming a new real estate agent. My name is Lauren Plant, mindset and performance coach. All of my information is in the description, along with a free discovery call with me if you're interested in coaching. And we'll get right to it. I had Amir Lancaster on the show, and he is amazing. So raw, so real. He is super real when it comes to his process and becoming a real estate agent. And that's why I loved having him on the show, because he does not sugarcoat anything. He tells you all about what he went through to become the person that he became as a real estate agent and how it's still going for him. So you're not going to want to miss this. Let's check it out. All right, Amir, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm excited to talk about real estate with you and how you got started. Could you introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Amir Lancaster. I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm one of the real estate agents here.
Yeah, and you've been doing this how long now?
I've had my license for about a year, but I would say I've been actually doing real estate for about 6 months. I was originally with a prior brokerage, and I didn't get the resources and tools that I needed to essentially reach my potential. And so I made a brokerage change right at New Year's. And since then, I've just kind of propelled myself into the market.
Okay, so that's really cool that you were able to make that transition, because I actually work with a lot of real estate agents that have a hard time making that transition. What was that like for you?
When you say transition, like from one brokerage to another,
Mm-hmm.
it was really good, actually. So I did my due diligence and shopped around and had a bunch of interviews with brokerages,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it's no sweat off of their back to bring me onto the team. But for me to join a brokerage, like there's a lot of pressure, and I want to make sure it was the right relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found one that was extremely tech-based, had a lot to offer as far as marketing and lead generation and just education. And I was like, this is the place for me. I need to be here, especially to start my career.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of agents, they feel like they have like this loyalty to their brokerage. So even when they're not giving them what they need, they end up staying in this brokerage way too long, and it ends up impacting their career in a negative way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people, especially like my corporate friends, when they heard that I was changing brokerages, they're like, "Do you just got to the brokerage?" I'm like, you don't understand. Like the way that we as agents build our brands, it's not around a brokerage. A brokerage is simply the umbrella to us, and they give us the resources and tools. And so one thing that I've always recommended to every single agent that I've ever talked to is when you do your branding, brand yourself. You are the brand. Don't use the brokerage as the brand, because if you decide that you need to leave that brokerage and all of a sudden your whole scheme changes because you do things, it's something that you can take from brokerage to brokerage, and it can be malleable and change with you as you progress in your career.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was something that actually attracted me to have you on the show, is how well you brand yourself. Because not only do you brand yourself well as a real estate agent, but you also mix in your personal self. Like you tell people who you are, and you mix in like your other like extracurricular, and it all falls into place, and it keeps people very engaged. Can you tell me how that kind of worked out for you? Because you've got a large following too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so one thing that I really wanted to maintain when I started my real estate journey was authenticity. I'm someone who does a lot. I do a lot of unconventional things in the sense of like being a business person and also an underwear model and a social media influencer and a rugby player. Like I do a lot of those things. And the last thing that I wanted was people to just label me as the real estate agent. One person that I really admire and took a lot of notes on was Ryan Serhant. And the way that he's went about building his brands and his strategy was always finding your and in his program, it was Ryan Serhant. He is a real estate agent and he's an entertainer. He was an actor before he was ever a real estate agent. And so when I heard that, I was like, dude, why should I have to sacrifice all of the things that make me unique as a person to try and blend in with other agents, when in reality, I've always wanted to stand out. And so one thing that I did is, as I went through social media and as I did these things, I just did them with intention. So if I made a post, I made sure it was tasteful and respectful. So that way people weren't put off by me, but at the same time still felt as that I was a professional, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense, because at the same sense, it is business, but at the same time, you don't want to sacrifice your soul just for business. Like expression is important and being authentic is important. And
Right.
I'm a big, like I say this all the time, like your uniqueness and your authenticity is what sets you aside from other people. It's not all about people wanting to buy the home. It's people wanting to buy the home from you. So give them a reason to really want to hang out with you and work with you, because it's really not just about the home. Of course, you have to have knowledge and all of that, but there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah. And what you'll hear from a lot of agents is a lot of things are referral based, especially in our industry. Like, it's simply word of mouth. And that's what a lot of really good agents are doing to be successful.
Right.
And so I want to work with clients who not only like me as a person, but like me as a professional. If I'm working with clients who only see me as a professional, but never really connected with me on a personal level, the likelihood of getting that referral isn't as high. So if I'm missing business because of the life that I lead at the current moment, then those probably weren't the right clients for me, as well as me not being the right agent for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I always kind of coach clients on, like, find yourself first, because you, aside from your business, is very important. You need to understand who you are. And I got to ask, what did that process look like for you? Because you show up very confidently. I see you as a person with a lot of confidence, and it's a beautiful thing. And a lot of people probably wonder, how do you achieve that? How do you get there?
Honestly, it's gonna sound really cliche and really sad, but I learned a lot of my confidence from having a lot of doors slammed in my face. I wasn't the most athletic. I wasn't the most handsome. I wasn't the tallest. Like, there was just a lot of chips that were stacked on my shoulders growing up. And so at a certain age, I just was kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. It's like, this is what's going to make me, and this is what's going to propel me into doing more. And at some point I was like, honestly, if I'm not getting doors closed in my face, I'm not pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. So it was like, once I hit a level of success within, like, even myself, just like understanding myself, I was like, cool, we need to find a new way to become uncomfortable. And so with social media and real estate, I was extremely pressed about creating the Making It in Real Estate series. I was totally nervous and scared, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm letting people have glimpses of my days. What if they don't think I'm professional enough? What if they don't think I'm working enough? And then after a while, I was like, the fact that I am here thinking this means that I need to do it, because I know that there's someone else that is probably going through the same thought process.
That is huge, because that's what everybody sits there and they think on the other side of the screen, what's everybody thinking of me? Am I working enough? Am I doing enough? Like, are they judging me in every which way? And one thing I just pulled from what you said, and I wrote it down, like, you didn't back down against discomfort. Like, you moved towards discomfort. And it sounds like it was very mindset driven for you, because it is a mindset. It's like, you can either crumble under the doors being shut in your face, or you can go find a new door to open and move through.
Exactly. And granted, not every door is made for you. One phrase that I was told, I was 18 when I got told this, and it was in relationship dating, because I've never had really great dating luck. I don't know why. But the motto that was told to me was, you can be the best peach in the bunch, and that person doesn't like peaches. And so I've moved through that, and I was like, I found value in myself and grounding in myself. And so when people told me no, I started to just realize maybe they just don't like peaches. And I was like, that's okay. And that made me move on to the next person until I found someone who liked peaches. And I was like, sick, cool. I'm glad that we connect.
Yeah. And it's such a shift when you realize, like people are allowed to not like peaches.
Yeah.
But what is not allowed to happen is for you to be upset about it. Like you can't take on all of that energy. You can't take that on as rejection. Like that's what can't happen. But anybody
Absolutely.
can have their own emotions. Anybody can dislike peaches. But yeah, then you move in the right direction. Let it give you direction.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because it only takes really one. The same mantra that sellers and selling agents have, it only takes that one buyer for the property to sell. It's the same thing when it comes to yourself. It only takes one person to appreciate you. And as long as you hold on that little win, then you can continue to live off of that win until you find your next one. But this, like you said, the second you start to hold on to that, you start to allow that negative energy to sit in you, then a lot of self-doubt starts to come into play. And then once you're internalizing that, the universe has nothing to do other than offer that to you.
Yes. And then you're also letting the business control you rather than control it. Like I remember when I first started real estate, it was a roller coaster. Like when I had deals in the bag, like I was on top of the world. When 5 of them dropped, I was like crying on my floor, and I was like, I'm not getting out of bed. But it's like, that's the motion. That's the motion. If we let it come and go and we just accept it for what it is, it's a lot easier. The doors, they shut, they open, they shut, they open. But it's like, control the business. Don't let the business control you. And I think that's a really big one. Like that's why mental and emotional strength in real estate, I find, is so important. That's why I do the work that I do. But it's just like, you're kind of confirming that here too.
You are 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. That makes me feel good. But I want to know too, like in your first real 6 months, since you're really getting started, like what are some of the struggles and the challenges that you're facing right now? I mean, you're still pretty new.
Yeah. A lot of the struggles that I am facing, there's 2 really big ones. One of them is the keeping up with the Joneses. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people are sitting on the other side of that screen and they are wondering, how am I doing compared to that person? Me, myself, like I've done production, which is impressive in itself. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people look at me as if I'm this luxury agent and that I have this amazing life that I've just built that's just like so wonderful that they want to harness. And every comment that I've ever seen, I respond to it. And I'm like, I don't want you to have what I have. I want you to have better, because that's in reality what I want for people. Because right now, I fall victim to it all the time, where I see other agents selling homes and I'm like, oh my gosh, they must be just killing it. And then I get curious and I'm like, hey, what's your production? And they're like, oh, I'm at X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, wait, we're at the same spot, but I just compared myself to you and said that I wasn't doing what you did because of a picture. And so keeping up with the Joneses is 100% that. I feel like every real estate agent has a Tesla. Every real estate agent is an investor. And I'm sitting here as a 26-year-old 6 months in going, I don't have a Tesla. I don't own my own home. I don't have investment properties. And I'm still learning about the market. I must be a horrible agent. When in reality, I'm exactly where I need to be 6 months in.
Yes. Oh my God. You just said something like that's huge. When people compare themselves to other people, it will debilitate you, and accepting where you're at in your journey and loving yourself for that is huge. And that's one thing I love about you, is that you're a new agent and you say it, you're on the way and you say it, like you're like, this is what I'm doing. And you're so real about it. And I have an agent who, she's super successful. She's 2 years into it. She will not tell anybody she's 2 years. Like she has a hard time. A lot of agents have a hard time with that. And what does that look like for you? Because most agents, when they first start, they're like, I'm afraid everybody's going to say like, how long have you been in the industry, and not want to work with me because I haven't been in it long enough.
When it comes to the time frame, I tell every person I'm transparent, because at the same time, I want them to 100% know who they're working with. So I let them know. I've been in it for a year. I've been really going hard and cranking down on it for 6 months, but this is what I've done in that time. And so, yeah, everyone wants, someone who's more experienced, but at the same time, those people in their profession, or when they go to a doctor, everyone has to start from the ground. And the only way you're going to get that experience is if you just prove that your work is just as valuable as the person with 10 years of experience. And so just leveling with people, and then also letting them know, hey, I also have experienced people on my team that I work extremely close with that are also overseeing the transaction with me.
Yes.
So it's not just me a part of this, you're actually getting an entire team. And that right there takes so much stress and so much pressure off of their shoulders, especially once they start to see emails rolling in with me CCing others, proofreading and checking what I'm sending. So they're like, honestly, that's all they could ask for. They don't care that I'm a new agent. What they want to make sure is that they're getting taken care of the same way they would if I was 30 years into the business.
Yeah. And I think that's the importance of self-development and like inner development and confidence, because it's like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like you said, like you confidently say like, hey, but I can take care of you because listen, although I've only been in the business for a year, I'm backed by 30 years of experience. So make it 31, and but that's really how it goes, because you're backed by people. I've got people on my team. Everybody's okay. We're okay. As long as you choose a good brokerage and you made that transition. So that was awesome.
Right. And I think another thing comes down to it. We're all working with different ages, different demographics. One thing that I have also really found experience in is people our age are just as new to the buying process and everything as we are. And so it's been really enjoyable to take the small amount of experience that I have and be like, hey man, this is going to be a journey for the both of us. Like, I can't wait to see the obstacles and questions that you have and answer those for you and like overcome that together. And when you say that to them, they're like, oh my gosh, this guy wants me to be problematic. I can't ask for anything else,
Yeah. Like, get vulnerable with me. Like, I'm about to cradle you like a baby. Like, that's how I feel too, because it's true. Like, when clients feel comfortable with you and they trust you, like, they're all in. That's all they really want. They know they'll find a home as long as you promise you're going to make it happen, and you will. So I think that's the cool part about it. It has so much more to do with the person that we are versus like the actual product. And I think Ryan Serhant said what people don't want to be sold. They want to shop with friends. They want to feel like they've got a friend, someone who's going to take care of them, someone who's going to care for them. And that matters. It makes a big difference to people. And I think salespeople forget about it. We get wrapped up in the numbers. We get wrapped up in the egos, the status, the this, the that. And we've got to come back and realize like we're dealing with humans here, sensitive, emotional, vulnerable humans that need some caretaking.
Absolutely. And one thing that we've got to remember is, I know we learned this in the 3rd grade or kindergarten, but treat others the way that you'd want to be treated. You don't want to pick up the phone and be sold. Like you said, want to shop with friends. I want to do things with my agent and feel like, this is a casual thing. And when I'm ready to pull the trigger, they're going to be right there, ready to pull the trigger with me. And so that's how I've leveled with every single one of my new buyers. I have people starting to reach out to me and they're like, Amir, I want to let you know I'm not going to be ready in a year or two, but I just wanted to have this conversation. I'm like, I appreciate you for doing that. Like, how about on a Saturday, me and you, I'll get lunch. We go check out a couple of houses and figure out like what you do and don't like. And they're like, but I don't want to look at houses. I'm not ready yet. And I was like, but how are you going to know what kind of houses you like if we don't start stepping foot in them? And I was like, let's just have fun with it. Let's go grab some lunch, look at some houses, look at some different areas, and then call it a day. And they're like, are you sure? Even though I'm not a year out? And I'm like, I wouldn't rather do anything else.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. You said some good stuff there. That was very well said, because you just have to get yourself in front of the client, because that's your pipeline. Like, this is a long-term game. And what it really encompasses is like so many relationships, but how deeply you connect with people is going to determine how long you're able to keep those relationships and really build that pipeline. And I want to ask you, because on the other side of that, because I know I struggled with this pretty heavily, because I thought I was a fun agent, but everybody wanted to hang out with me and they wanted to take on my time. They want to do this, they want to do that. But then I had to learn to set boundaries. How's that going for you?
It's been interesting
Yeah.
because of my social media and the presence that it has, and the fact that I am open about my life, whether it be that I'm single or I'm doing these things. There are people who have tried to take advantage of that. And so I make sure to approach anyone with a business professionalism first. And I make sure that they talk to my lender before they even schedule an appointment with me, because someone who's serious about moving forward in the process isn't going to have any reserves about filling out the application for approval. If there's pushback on that, I tell them, hey, I want to respect your time and I want to respect mine. If this isn't where you're at, I'm open to having conversations, but I can't commit time to you. And most people have been very understanding of that. I haven't had anyone yet make like a fake scenario. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good. I think the more straight up you are, the better people receive it. Right. And the more straight up they'll be with you back. So I can agree with that. I think that's really good. In addition to that, while we talk about struggles in real estate, I mean, I noticed one thing about you is that you've got a lot going on. You've got the modeling, you've got the rugby, you spend time with friends, you're a dog dad, you are a content creator too. You've got so much. How do you find getting into the new career of real estate for the past year and like juggling all of that, how that's going, like the work-life balance?
Honestly, it's been really nice because of the fact that I have practiced so many things that I love. I wake up daily, and I know another cliche, I wake up daily never feeling like I'm working. Like I feel like I need to work harder and need to do more, because I'm like, man, I just love everything that I'm doing. Like I spend 30 minutes to an hour editing content and doing filming. And I'm like, God, I didn't do anything. I just played on my phone for the past hour. And then I'm like, hold on, I just made marketing material for myself. I just was my own marketing coordinator. And then I make phone calls, and then I'm following up with people, and I'm grabbing lunches. And so juggling all of those things has been really nice because they're all things that I'm excited about. I'm excited about social media. I'm excited about hanging out with my dog and having the freedom to, go on walks whenever I want to go on walks, and not have someone telling me that I need to be back from a lunch break in an hour. So it's been nice.
Nice. Well, actually, you make a really good point, is that you keep yourself really busy with things that you love, because I noticed one of the things that real estate agents struggle with is if they're not busy, they have a really hard time keeping the momentum. Like, because you know how real estate is very like, one day you've got 10 showings, the next day you've got nothing. And so balancing your energy and balancing your routine gets really difficult. So if they've got nothing to wake up for in the morning, the whole day just gets away from them and they feel bad about it and they shame themselves, guilt themselves. So you make a really good point in saying, like, you keep yourself busy with things that you love and you never feel like you're working, and you've always got something to pick up that you enjoy.
Right. And it's like, with the social media aspect of it too, if I don't have a day where I have showings, which is more often than not, I'm not showing homes every single day. Why not step outside and go record some homes and walk into some homes and create new marketing material? And now I'm back in the real estate market. I'm not showing homes, but now I'm creating content, and I can utilize that to push my social media, get in front of people, so that way I'm showing it to you, and every day I'm doing something to make sure that I'm keeping you updated on what's going on in the market.
Yeah. And you keep that momentum personally. It keeps you motivated. I think that's one of the key factors to staying motivated, is making sure you just keep doing it and you're staying consistent. So
Absolutely.
yeah, when it comes to your routine, I know you had mentioned at one point, you kind of take every day as like a brand new day. And I liked how you said that. I thought that was pretty cool. Do you have a routine, or do you like plan a new routine for each new day?
It's a little bit of both. I've tried creating a routine, but because so many things are constantly being thrown into our schedule, it's
Mhm.
really hard to. So I traditionally just do like time blocks.
Yeah.
So the first
Yep.
hour when I wake up, I'm not going to set a 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., but the first hour when I wake up, I typically get my house in order and make sure that like I'm organized for the day, because I've noticed that if I'm not organized, the rest of my day is not organized. So I
Mm.
go through and I spend the first hour organizing. And then after that, I go sit at a coffee shop or workplace. Now,
Mhm.
granted, none of these are set within blocks, but I'm like, hey, for the next hour, I'm going to go respond to emails or create content.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm like, all right, for the next 2 hours, I need to get my workout in, because I know that if I work out midday and I listen to my podcast and YouTube videos, that I'm going to be so amped up afterwards that everything that I do is going to be done with like high energy. And so
Mhm.
I get my workout in. And then after that, as long as showings and things of that nature haven't been thrown in, I crank out what I need to for
Mhm.
real estate. And that flow, because it's something that I created and something that I was happy with,
Mhm.
creates this like just high work level throughout
Mhm.
the day. Like
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of that just comes from, again, like understanding you and what you needed. Like you're very self-aware, which is a huge, very important piece of the process in becoming a successful real estate agent, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, like, hey, I need to do this before I do this because then I'm going to lose it. And then I need to make sure this happens so then I don't have to worry about that. And understanding yourself helps you build certain practices and helps you build your day to day. And it makes you
Right.
feel more comfortable knowing, like, I know that I need to do X, Y, and Z before I even think about doing this. Because then you get disheveled and then it's just debilitating. It's like, hands up, bye, we'll try again tomorrow.
Exactly. And that definitely took time. And it was one of
Mhm.
those things where when I started, I hated every day. And I'm being totally honest, I was miserable and I was like, why am I not feeling like I'm doing enough?
Mhm.
Why do I feel like my house is in chaos? Why do I break those things down and prioritizing those? And then I noticed that once I started accomplishing those little wins, that when it came to real estate, I had already done so much winning to start the day that I was on I was on cloud nine by the time I touched real estate. So there was nothing that could hurt me. If someone told me
Yeah.
no, or hey, I'm not looking to buy anymore, or I actually put in a rental application with a different agent because they showed me the home, I'm like, you know what? Oh well, like let's move to the next thing. And I know that
Yeah.
I have those other wins to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta ask you, like, how did you become so self-aware and build that like self-understanding? Did you go through like a healing journey? I know for me it was quite a process, and for everybody it looks different.
Honestly, it was I don't like losing and I don't like not being the best at what I'm doing. And I know
Okay.
that's you can't be the best at everything, but I at
Right.
least want to give my all to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was playing sports, I did a lot of self-reflection on why am I not starting, or why did I mess up that play? Because those are the things you have to ask yourself in order to succeed in sports,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I just took that into real estate and into my self-development and
Mm-hmm.
was like, Amir, why are you not sleeping at night? Well, it's because you're creating your content before you go to bed, and sitting on your phone for 2 hours isn't allowing you to hit your cycles properly. So what can we do to change that? Cool. Now I start my days with a cup of coffee or a Celsius,
Mm-hmm.
and create my content in the morning, and it puts me in a creative flow.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than ending the day and sitting there and being exhausted but staring at my phone, now I'm starting my day staring at my phone, being creative and having fun with it. And that's going to set the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like you asked why. You saw a weakness and you moved towards it, not away from it. You didn't get
Yes.
scared. You said, okay, this is a fear, or this is a weakness. I'm gonna lean against that and I'm gonna move into it, which is
Yeah.
some things that, a lot of us won't do. We'll be like, maybe not, maybe we don't do that. But for you, you said, okay, this is something that's blocking me from becoming my best self, from living up my full potential. Let me ask why. Let me understand myself. Let me do some research and figure it out. I think that's a really good mentality to take on, because then you can remove your own blocks as you go.
Right. Exactly.
To kind of close up here, like for anybody looking to get into real estate, do you have any advice for people thinking about getting into it? They're afraid to post on social media. They're afraid to put themselves out there. I have a lot of shy agents that I think are having a hard time breaking out of their shell.
Yeah, I would say the best piece of advice that I have for all of that is be okay with not being okay.
Mm,
And it comes down to the social media posts, starting your new real estate business, doing that open house, asking that person if they're already represented. Be okay with not being okay, because the second that you can do that, then you're just going to ask the hard questions. You're going to do the hard things, and you're going to enjoy it because you're like, you know what? I'm I'm moving forward.
mm-hmm,
I feel like you said earlier, I'm leaning into that door.
mm,
If you're not doing that, you're never going to find out what your potential is,
mm-hmm,
because there is so much knowledge that comes from being rejected. And you can learn so much about maybe the way you approach the situation, or a way that you should not approach a situation. Like, did you read the room correctly? And
mm-hmm.
so just being okay with not being okay is the one thing that I would give to everyone.
Nice. So kind of take a trip into the unknown, back yourself into a corner, test yourself, take some risks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, thank you so much, Amir. This was
Yeah, absolutely.
super helpful. I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate everything that you had to say. Why don't you tell us where anybody can find you if they want to follow you on social media or reach out to you?
Yeah, so all of my handles are _ Amir Lancaster _ and you can find me on TikTok, Instagram. Those are the two applications that I use the most.
Nice. Okay. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Tell me that wasn't an awesome interview, that you guys didn't get so much from that. I feel like we touched on everything. The main piece that I got from Amir was like his mentality and his mindset that he takes in anything that he does, whether it's just his daily routine and being motivated, or real estate or modeling or rugby or sports, whatever he does. And the main thing is move towards fear, not away from fear. Every time he saw a weakness within himself, he knew there was a better version of himself that he could become. He took it as a challenge. He took it as something he could enjoy. He could go through this journey together. And you hear him in the interview say that he almost does that with clients. He says, like, listen, we're going to figure out what you like, what you don't like. We're going to take this journey together. We're going to see any like roadblocks that we're going to hit or any struggles that we're going to hit. And we're going to go through it together. I'm excited to do that with you. So it's cool how it kind of transfers over. And just from this interview, I just want to remind you guys like how important mindset is for a real estate agent. I hope by now, like, I don't know how many videos you guys have listened to of mine or my podcast, but like, I hope by now you guys are starting to get like, that's my main message here. It's just so important that you work on your mind, you work on your self-development, you work on yourself every single day. And it was so cool to hear how Amir kind of overcomes his blocks on his own, and he's able to do that and take on that mentality. Some people need support and guidance, and some people are able to just kind of move through that with themselves. And that was really, really cool. So thanks for listening. And again, if you want to get in touch with Amir, send him a message on Instagram or on TikTok. Definitely follow him. He's got some really, really cool content. And if this content is helpful and interesting to you guys at all, if you're listening on podcast, please give me a review and a 5-star if you're really enjoying it. Along with, if you're listening to it on YouTube, you can leave a comment. I love to hear your feedback, along with a like, and subscribe to my channel so I can reach more people. And as always, good luck.